to order. Today we have Darren Donaldson from Fellowship Baptist Church to give our invocation, and then we'll say our pledges, okay? Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, first we thank you for the gift of salvation through your Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you for his shed blood on the cross that is the perfect sacrifice for our sins, that we might have forgiveness and eternal life. Lord, we come to ask for your blessings on our county, on these commissioners, that you would grant them wisdom with the decisions that they make as they seek to be good stewards of the resources that you have provided. And we know that you are the giver of all good things. And Lord, we come to seek you on behalf of our county and those around us who are suffering from this drought. We ask, Lord, that you in your mercy and in your provision would send us rain. In this time of elections and divisions within our country, remind us of that which unites us, that we might look through the division, that we might look through the deceptions and see only the truth. Remind us that we are still one nation under God. And may we seek to give you honor and glory in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. The pledge to the United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you, Pastor. The next item, number 3 on the agenda, is discuss and possibly act upon the approval of an agreement between Washington County and Scott and White Health Plan. Commissioners, you've had this in your packet. This is a very lengthy document. Bottom line is that we have always been discussing for a long period of time the reimbursement for the IDR stuff for the helicopter. This basically streamlines that process, allows us to receive those fundings a little bit quicker, and that is always something we have been discussing. I'm going to let Director Doremus discuss some of this. We've had a discussion about some of the pain points that they went through and things like that. So at the end of the day, I believe this is a contract that we're going to be thankful to have in county government. I will also say that it's been reviewed by the county attorney's office. So there are all of the corrections and additions have been made that the county attorney made, and those have been given back to the Scott and White Health Plan folks. So Director Doremus, if you have anything to add to that, I'd appreciate it.
We've been doing it. We've been negotiating for about 7 months, so which is a lengthy process. Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Plan, not health care. This has nothing to do with your local hospital or regional hospitals. The health plan is completely separate. But there are third highest payer. Not meaning highest revenue making, but people in this region have Scott and White Health Plan insurance. Number 1, Medicare.
Yeah.
Most of our clientele are Medicare patients. So number 1 is Medicare. Number 2 is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. Number 3 is Scott and White. So the 2 that we're in negotiations with is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Federal payers are already contractually, we know what we're getting with them when we transport ground or air. But Blue Cross Blue Shield, Scott and White Health Plan, Aetna, all these others, we go through an IDR process, Independent Dispute Resolution Board. Whenever we say we're owed this, they say we're only paying this, it goes through that. That's taken up to 18 months to get your money out of it. The time on task of that, from our billing folks to Amy Fleeceman to our chief compliance people, pretty costly. The rate that we got from Scott and White Health Plan, I'm pretty excited about. It's not just air, Commissioner. It's both. They will not negotiate air without ground, and a lot of the times they hold you over the barrel because we do 10,000 ground transports, 300 air transports. So they may try to give you some on the air side, but take away from this side to make it whole. We negotiated a really good rate on both ground and air.
Oh, good.
So from a county perspective, it's a net positive gain on each end. Without going through all the numbers, the 2 big bullet points that I would just give you is our average ground transport reimbursement from Blue Cross Blue Shield, from Scott and White Health Plan is around $750 average, right? The contract will allow a little over $1,000 for that. So, and then the same for the air. Our average, when we come out of an IDR process, we're averaging a little above 19,000. The new contract will average around 27. So you net positive on each end of it, which is really
That's
good for the
just with
county.
the Scott and White.
Correct, which is not a huge quantity.
I was gonna
number.
ask, like, what was the percentage of the mix?
Yeah,
of
so
the payer mix?
We're around
for Scott and
60.
White?
Usually, every year is different, but we're usually around 60-65% Medicare,
Yeah,
right? And then everything else is under it. Blue Cross
Under.
Blue Shield is somewhere around 20,
okay,
oftentimes, sometimes 15. And then Scott and White's below that, so you're at 10% or lower. It's not a large percentage of your patients, but it's number 3 on our list.
while we're here, have you heard anything about Medicare? Cause I know there's been a lot of discussions about,
2.25 inflation rate is what they're predicting for 2025. That's the
Okay.
only big news that we've heard.
okay,
So your revenue, you can expect that 60% to have a slight increase.
okay,
Yep.
hey.
And the only other
anything-
question.
Any of it's better.
Yeah, it is.
Better.
Right.
The only other question I have about Exhibit 1, the Addendum A,
Mhm.
and that's, that's the pricing. It talks about ALS and BLS, but it doesn't talk about what we do.
Mhm.
And so I was wondering, is this just a baseline number?
They model that off of Medicare. So
Okay.
Medicare doesn't qual anything critical care or mobile intensive care unit. It's ALS1, ALS2, BLS1, BLS2. They usually follow the federal payer guidelines.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up is because we're MICU,
Correct.
correct?
Yep.
And not a BLS.
Correct.
Okay, so,
But you do BLS transfers,
yes.
so you have
yes,
to have that rate structure.
Yes,
Yep.
got it, okay. All right, commissioners, I need a motion.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the agreement between Washington County and Scott and White Health Plan.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Washington.
Wait, yep.
Oh, I already checked you off for that, Doremus.
That's all right. I'm not
Do you-
moving
Number
yet.
Do you
4.
want to do that?
I didn't
Number 4,
wiggle.
brother.
I wanna
We can
move-
skip it if you want. I'm good with that too.
Well, let's go ahead and do item number 4
Okay.
first. Okay. Discuss and possibly act upon the approval of emergency medical services quarterly report.
Yep.
Mr.
So
Director Doremus?
you should have that in your packet. It's getting longer, and I apologize about that. It's 40-something pages of documents, and a lot of that we've added 8 or 9 pages here or there. I know Commissioner Bullock's been watching some jail medical stuff pretty closely. That'll come out in January. I feel like we've watched that enough, and we've got hills and valleys and trends with that. We've added a few things this time over some of our energy costs when it comes to our fleet, and I'll go over that here in a minute. But from a high level, if there's any questions glaring at you, I'll answer them. If not, I'll just start going through it. Try
Your
to be
call
brief.
volume on this first page seems a little high.
It is, that green
Yeah.
spike. It is a normal higher season, but this is a little elevated more than normal. I don't know if festivals, we did quite a few festival responses with some of the things. Again, this is a quarter, if you're looking at that quarter. But yes, call volume was up, transfers were up. Hospitals are full, meaning there's limited bed space. You'll see that in our destination page. Usually it's about 80% Scott and White facilities, and this time it was not quite that high. We had a whole lot of other destinations because when facilities get full, we go to places we don't normally have a pattern or trend to. Staffing, if you look quickly at, you don't have to scroll to these, but you certainly can. Carly, page 28 is a staffing summary page. These are the big changes for the quarter anyways. Last quarter we were 92% staffed. This quarter we're around 85 to 88% staff. And that's just shift positions, so we definitely had some losses there. The bigger hit was probably we had several staff, I think 4 out on FMLA, which kind of pushed us down to about 72% staffed, which creates a tremendous amount of mandatory overtime to fill those spots with existing staff members. So we've certainly been working through that. Good news on some of that is we've sent our admin assistant to some courses that help market and advertise through social media. We've historically done Indeed and then just our own advertising, word of mouth. But we pushed a bunch of stuff out, and we reached the latest data thing that she sent me this morning was we've reached over 20,000 people.
Wow.
Very targeted, not just $125 you can market and advertise. So we pushed out $125 worth of marketing for recruitment. And it was very specific between like-minded interest, EMS, healthcare, yada, yada. So it wasn't just going to the masses. So if we reached 15,000, we had 2.5 thousand post-engagement, and it pushed a little over 1,100 people to our website, which was really good when you look at the analytics on it. And the best part is we've had about 12 quality applicants come through that are actually licensed,
Fantastic.
certified. So the good news is I think we're coming over a mountain or a curve there.
So that's something we may need to educate ourselves on
Yeah.
and roll out.
It's been a good
In more
education for us,
offices.
for sure,
Yeah.
internally.
That's
over the
interesting.
power of, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys doing that.
Well,
It's pretty innovative.
I think it depends on who you're recruiting to. Our recruiting base is generally 19-year-olds to 29-year-olds
Mhm.
coming out of paramedic school who are probably not looking at Indeed as much as other folks that are recruiting. So it's probably certainly department dependent of how
Mhm.
successful that would be.
Interesting.
Big picture for financials, where are you? I'll try to stay close. You're on 28, so that's the quarter. It's the biggest quarter of revenue that I've ever seen. So pretty above, I think we're 26% above where we were this time last year, which is a pretty big bump. We did dial a few things. Remember, there's 3 ways to increase revenue.
Right.
You see more people, which we don't want to do. We'd like to dial that down. That means less 911 calls, right? So you see more people, transport more people, or you turn the rate up, which the court did approve a rate adjustment for ground transportation. So we dialed the rate up a little bit. We didn't think that would be a huge factor. It's probably increases 2 or 3%. The good news is it's not passed on to the constituent. So if we transport you, we're still writing off the amount that we don't get. It just charges the insurance company more.
Correct.
So that may have affected it some, but probably that big spike that you saw on the first slide. When the volume goes up, the revenue goes up.
Yeah.
So, any questions on revenue?
No, I just want to make a comment. The projected revenue, it looks like we're going to exceed the projected revenue for this year, correct?
Yeah, we did 6.289 last year, 2023, which was above the 6.1 that we projected.
Mhm.
Right.
I think you'll get really close to, you'll get between 6.5 and 7
Okay.
this year. I mean, if the quarter, because we put almost $2 million for a quarter, and we've got 3 months of revenue left, so you should do really well for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect double digit above our projection, for sure. Double digit percentages.
And a little bit of that is due to the air, correct? And
Yeah,
you and
they-
I had a conversation about that where the air is actually exceeding the performa. Is that correct?
Right.
In all aspects, yeah. Part of it's volume, right? But the bigger part is we projected around 8,200 cash per trip in the performa.
Wow.
And I think we're around 8,800
Yeah.
cash per trip. So, of course, the aging accounts will increase that. If you remember, we closed out 2022 with a little above 900,000 for 6 months.
Mhm.
And I told you that money will increase over time. IDR processes,
Right.
it takes a while to get that money back. We're now at 1.5 for that 6-month period. So it went from about 900,000 to 1.2 to 1.3 to 1.4, and
So
it's settling
it's-
around 1.5 million for that 6-month period of time when we first started that. You're going to end up around 6.5, which is, of course, bad news is cost of everything's went up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So y'all seen it in my budget. It's not like my budget's under,
Yeah.
right? So you see the cost of pharmaceuticals, of normal saline, of all that has doubled in some regards.
Well, and a
So-
little bit of that had to do with the storm, correct? I mean, in your report, you discussed the stuff in North Carolina where the medical
Yeah, saline plant.
saline plant.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't realize that how all these things
all tied
affect us
together,
all.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they affect us all.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get a bag of saline right now, which is used in every pharmaceutical, right? Every call we go on is really difficult right now.
And you're having
So
a hard time getting that right now?
if you can afford it, getting it is the other piece. Yeah. Costa Rica is the only other plant that's currently pushing saline. So yeah, it's a problem. It's a real problem. DSHS is all over it. They're asking people to start rationing normal saline out in hospitals, and we've done it. We went from hanging a bag of saline on most people to a HEP lock or a saline lock.
And I missed that. What
Instead.
happened to the other?
The flood.
The
North
flood?
Carolina.
It was impacted?
Yes,
Okay.
devastated. So, yep.
It's terrible.
So costs are going up, but revenue is probably offsetting that. Our overtime budget's exceeding because of short staffing, but I think your 26% above in your revenue is probably going
So it's gonna
to balance all
wash
that out at the end of the
probably.
day. That's the hope.
Yeah,
Only other thing I would just, well, did you want to go through the jail? Any questions on the jail? I don't want to.
No, I think you and I can sit down,
Yeah.
because there's some other things I'd like to discuss about that.
Yep, I
A
think
little deeper.
go to page 12 if you would, just
Okay.
for I think just as a general overall picture, the biggest
Okay.
change is prevalent in slide 12 is typically 2023, if you just cover that up, the red is medical calls,
Right.
which is a small, right there, the small pie chart piece in 2023.
Right.
And then 2024, it's almost flipped to where the majority of the time we're going to the jail right now, we're transporting. The volume's about the same. We're a little higher on the amount of times we're going over there, but we're actually transporting
And
substantially
if I
more.
recall, it was, the numbers weren't really, showing that in Q1.
Not quarter one, no.
It was more, it seems like this change has happened since we changed providers.
I think it was right before. Yeah.
Is that when it,
I don't think it was just a change of provider. I wouldn't know. I do think it's worth
the
let's
conversation?
get together with the jail staff, sit down and visit about their,
Yeah,
I don't
I'd like
know
to do that.
their staffing or where they are with all that. It could be just staffing. It may not be that either. But certainly when you look at the time of day and the time
Yeah.
during the day, I've put all that in there for you to
Yeah.
look at. You can certainly drill down to when we're going and what we're doing, and all that stuff
Weekends.
is there.
yeah,
It's certainly worth the conversation. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're at the jail a lot, and we're transporting quite a few times. So,
yeah,
yep.
okay.
On a high note, page 24 of your report, idle mitigation. We've been
Mhm.
discussing
yeah.
this idle mitigation for a while, and I'm going to tell you right now that chart is pretty phenomenal. I think that we're gonna have some good stuff come out of that idle mitigation.
Yeah, remember, we used some ARPA dollars to put idle mitigation on the ambulances. So
Last year, right?
2 years ago, we
Or 2
repeated it
years.
again last year. So
Okay.
the first year we didn't have a whole lot of data. Now we're starting to collect quite a bit of data from this. We put Samsara, which is a software device that we approved for some artificial intelligence over sleep mitigation and how we're doing as far as driving habits. It also collects all of this data. So it's not hand selecting data. It's actually just pulling all the data on total miles,
Yeah.
total cost, energy cost, and putting it into a thing. You do have to do a little bit of math to get your cursor is right over a piece, I think. Can you slide your cursor to the left or right for me?
Carly,
Carly,
There you go.
it's just the cursor.
For the hand. Oh, there you go. So if you look at the note at the bottom, if we double the idling waste to equal the mileage, meaning for the idle mitigated ambulances, we've only got 27,000 miles, that bottom left number. And if you look at the slide to the left, it's got 57. So to do a true comparison, you'd have to double the slide on the right. I don't want to mislead anybody. If you double the total mileage, the total fuel saved on the right, you'd equal. So at the end of it, you have about 120 gallons of waste on the right. So you're saving about 1,000 gallons in a quarter. And really, just for the general public, that it's no different than my wife has a Ford Expedition. I pull up to a stop sign, it goes into idle, right? Right. We've all got names for that, but I end up shutting that
Mine's
thing off
dadgummit.
or whatever. But the truth is, it probably doesn't save me a lot during that stop sign. But you got to picture these ambulances going to a football game for 4 hours.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Instead of idling for 4 hours, it essentially goes into idle mitigation. It's got a row of batteries in a compartment that everything, because all the narcotics, all the saline, all that has to stay within temperature control. So anytime we're at a football game or a standby, people go by and say, why don't you shut that thing off? Save me some money. You can't shut it off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That would cost us a lot of money. So that allows it to look shut off, act shut off, and it's saving us all that fuel cost, which is really what we're trying to calculate. Is it worth it or is it not? And it looks like when you put the price of diesel on 1,000 gallons in a quarter, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
And that also goes into the preventive maintenance part. If you're idling less, you're doing less oil changes and so on. So
Right.
that's just the fuel piece. That's not the preventive maintenance piece. Tanner's this is all Tanner Jacob, by the way. He's done a really bang up job of trying to figure out if it's working or if it's not. And the next slide is actually maybe more exciting if you scroll. So this is the first year, and we have taken a little bit of a beating for this, but this is the first year we took and put a fully EV vehicle in our fleet. If you look at where we've transitioned from, and I didn't put it, I should have put the non-hybrid, So all these are police package vehicles. These are not standard F-150, whatever. So the police package vehicle that's a hybrid squad, you can see there, I highlighted the big pieces if you don't like doing math, but it's costing us 0.18 cents per mile, right? That's a standard police package Explorer squad vehicle that's a hybrid. It's going to go into idle mitigation at stop signs. It's going to conserve fuel when it can, all of those things. The non-hybrid fully gas vehicle, which I didn't put on here, was double that. It was costing us about 30 cents per mile. So we did, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're doing 250,000 miles, that adds up. So that shaved it about in half. The fuel efficiency rating for the gas only was 10. See that MPGE?
Mhm.
Everything's rated in miles per gallon equivalency now because of idle mitigation and electric and all that stuff. So when you look at the MPGE, that's because it is somewhat doing some electricity and not just fully gas.
Right.
The MPGE of the F-150 is 52.4. Seriously significant savings in fuel, right? Keep in mind, all of our vehicles have to be plugged in. So it backs into a bay, it plugs in for all that stuff to stay cool. So it's getting electricity whether it is an EV or not. So the question, I was like, well, now you're charging more electricity, but you're saving gas. No, we're charging electricity anyways,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's a gas vehicle or not, all of our vehicles are plugged in. That's why we got those cords in every station. Has to for compliance with the state and so on. So we're really not charging a ton more. It is probably pulling more electricity to charge those batteries when they're super low, but you're always going to have electricity running into that. So the good side of that is early, again, that's only 4,000 miles, and Tanner said be careful showing that because that will trend differently.
Okay.
But the first, really that's only about 30 days of drive time that they've had that thing in service.
Okay.
It looks like it's about 0.6 cents per mile.
Yeah.
The bigger piece with that one, you can't put them everywhere. So I don't want the court to say, oh, just put that in you can't,
Well, no,
right?
I would think that it would just stay, like, I mean, are you gonna use it more of an ACP type thing?
It's
or
the
what do you-
supervisor. So it's a Squad 1 supervisor vehicle that they use on the daily that's typically housed at Station 2 where you have the capability to always have it powered and plugged. We don't have that at certain stations. Chapel Hill would be a good example
Right.
of having the ability to do some of those things. Plus, it's always coming back and being charged, right? You wouldn't want to use it for a vehicle that you're going out of county on. Or so if you're thinking this could be a solve for other departments, maybe not. Because they're on the road all the time,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to keep it charged. I drove it for a week, it would not work for me, right? Because of the sporadic of meetings,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm like, oh gosh, I got to go charge that thing.
And then, yeah,
Right.
exactly. It's
But
one
it
more
does
thing to
work for
charge.
certain pieces of our department, is what I would say. Early, at least. Again, everything is a concept until you do it for a couple years, so. But it looks promising. That's really the big changes of the court. I mean, the response times, the in-service times, all of that stuff is really close to last quarter. No big changes.
And you said that, okay, so the police packet, the hybrid Explorer, that, 0.18 cents
Uh-huh.
per mile, how much is it on the non-hybrid ones?
It's about
Double?
32, yeah. We didn't include that one, because we'd only have one of those left. All of ours
Okay.
went, every
Y'all are
Explorer
going
package we have.
hybrid with all of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
ACP
Yes,
vehicles,
ma'am.
basically? Okay, good.
Yep.
All right.
So I know that a lot of folks are afraid of AI in some form or fashion. I think it's because it's unknown. But I will tell you, in this AI software that's helping us collect this data, it's proving to be helpful, and it looks like it's taking account of driving habits, and I think that's very important.
Page 22, Carly.
That's very important when it comes to the folks that are driving these ambulances. So I really look forward to seeing more of this type of data to show us what's going on in these vehicles.
Yeah, it's been beneficial for us. Of course, I will caution you, April, May, and June, we had 2 trucks on service, so it looks like there's a drastic increase. That's because after it was approved, we had a concept out. We demoed all this software for about 3 months. It looked like it could do good things. The court approved us to move forward with that. So the entire fleet is on in July, August, and September. So those drastic increases is because we put it throughout the fleet. What we're noticing is that we were able to decrease the in-mobile usage time drastically, right? We ask folks, paramedics and everybody else in public safety, to do a lot of things mobily, right? We have a mobile CAD. We have a mobile CAD on our phone. We have all of our electronic charting stuff on our phone. And then when you're going to a 911 call, all that's coming through the screens, right, which is a distraction in general. Now, going to the call, what we've asked in our policies is to push all that towards the passenger so that the driver's not distracted. But then you have to get to the hospital, and there's still data coming through these things that we have to be looking at. So some of that we know we're going to have some distraction. You're not going to do away with any of it. We're trying to decrease that mobile usage. And these are not, they're not driving down the road texting. That's not what we're seeing.
No.
It is literally trying to do a Pulsera chart notifying a hospital. It's not done through a radio anymore.
Right.
That's all done through an app. So it's literally trying to do their job. And what we want to do is, as we put innovation in the ambulances, make sure we're not creating a safety problem. So I think this is going to help us manage that.
And I look forward to that data. I think
Yeah.
that's going to be very important for us
Yeah.
in making decisions going forward
Yeah.
for the fleet and for our employees.
Yep. It's changed our driving habits across the board. If you look in the ambulances now, the phones are here because it doesn't pick you up if you're looking and you still have peripheral, but if you look down, it picks up your eye movement. It also alerts the district chiefs if someone's getting tired while they're driving. If the blinks become longer, it lets you know that driver may be getting tired. So there's a lot of preemptive, not just, oh, this caused the accident.
Yeah.
Let's keep from causing the accident.
Right.
So we're
Well,
excited about it.
we know it's human nature to correct your behavior when you know people are watching.
Sure.
I think that's one thing that
Yep.
I've noticed at least.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for your report. Are there any other questions you guys have?
Just remember to accept the donations.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's.
All right, Commissioners, I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve the Emergency Medical Services Quarterly Report.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now, item number 5, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of a memorandum of understanding between Washington County and Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation regarding the marketing, regional outreach, and collective business and economic development goals. Commissioners, you've had all of these documents in your shared file. I got these from Ms. Carly. She's put them in there for you to read up on this stuff. Ms. Rosales is here to explain that, and I believe you also have a guest with you to discuss it. We have this memorandum of understanding sent to the county attorney's office. They were unable to do the work, so we sent it out to McGee. McGee has approved it, so we have gone over the legal hurdles that we need
Fantastic.
to make it approvable if the court sees so. So, Ms. Rosales, with all that said, I'm gonna give you the floor, okay?
Thank you, Commissioner. Honorable Commissioners, on October 14th, 2024, I met with Susan Davenport at the request of Judge Durenberger. Susan is the President, CEO of the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation, now known as the Greater Brazos Partnership. She shared an initiative with me regarding a collaborative partnership between their MSA counties of Robertson, Burleson, and Brazos, along with the addition of Grimes County and possibly Washington County. The belief is that because of our proximity to each other and our mutual desire for economic growth, a regional partnership for business attraction would benefit all counties. An MOU has been prepared for our inclusion into this partnership. Grimes County has already adopted it in their meeting of October 2nd. For additional information about this partnership, I'd like to introduce Susan Davenport. Susan?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Teresa, and good morning to the commissioners and all those who are in attendance today. Again, my name is Susan Davenport, and I'm the president and CEO of the now known as, I think is the way we say it, Greater Brazos Partnership, formerly the Brazos Valley Economic Development Corporation. We had a name change and some updates, which I'll explain briefly. But I really appreciate your consideration of the MOU because I think there is some value in it for us to coordinate and connect regionally, as Teresa said. So let me give you a little bit of history of why we did this, and then I'll give you what functionally and operationally this would look like. And I think that, and then take some questions. So in July of 23, when I took over the organization, within about 3 weeks, the board undertook a revision and amended set of bylaws, excuse me, for the organization. And it really called for 2 things. One would be an executive board made up of 13 voting members and 1 general counsel that was appointed by that board, and then an advisory board, which was a non-voting board, which basically worked with the executive board once a quarter to make sure that our eyes were on all aspects of the community and the region that we served, to make sure that we were taking into account what others were seeing, what was happening in the economy on the ground. So we put those two functions together, and that became the new sort of group that led the particular organization that I'm the CEO of. So when we completed the structural reorganization and got those boards ready and organized, we then came together and turned our attention to how we were working regionally. As you know, in the economic development world, regions, the different businesses and regions don't often see the same jurisdictional boundaries that we do, and this cross-pollinates. And so you'll see many of the most successful regions having a group of counties that have come together to work regionally. You'll see many of them throughout Texas. So our approach was that we wanted to undertake that same type activity so that we could better leverage the assets of which we all already share. And so that was the background of what we looked into as we put this together. It really provides two things, and I want to highlight these. One is support for what I think we are all looking to grow and develop. And as we've developed this particular piece, we've been very careful to ensure each county that comes on board that they will decide what it is they want to put in place. We just want to bring the opportunities to the table and look at keeping them somewhere in our region so that we all share in the economic opportunities that provides us. And second is we can bring together the voices of the regions and the leadership of these regions when there are things that are actually hindering our growth and our economic development, and have strength in a more united voice that represents a particular area. I think those things are really important as we all move forward in this Brazos Valley region and area. So what does our proposed regional economic development program entail? We're proposing very simply that our regional counties, 5 in total, undertake the major tenets of economic development activities initiatives, marketing being a key, a very big key to this, new business recruitment, retention and expansion of existing companies here. We want to keep what we already have and put in place the type of region they can grow and thrive in, and enhancing the startup and the early stage companies' ability to seed within all of our regions and again be successful as they grow their business plans here in our areas. Do this as a group. The 5 counties we've identified, again, Burleson, Brazos, and Robertson, an MSA, and then we're looking at, again, Washington and Grimes. And thus far, Robertson and Grimes have approved MOUs, very similar to what we've brought to you this morning. We've developed, again, this non-legal, non-binding structural approach where the staff at the Greater Brazos Partnership will work collaboratively with your dedicated staff. And we're so pleased that Teresa and the judge have agreed for Teresa to be that staff member. We will, as well as those from the other counties, will collaborate on a regional marketing and outreach program. And let me be clear, where a description of each individual county who has developed their description that they would like posted and used to describe your area is put forth on a new website that we are now building and will be completed, we estimate, within the January timeframe. We have a new name, we have a new logo. It's the Greater Brazos Partnership to indicate that this is a partnership of counties within this area. And the logo depicts that through, basically, I can show that to you. It's a bee representing water in the Brazos River. And so that was what we utilized for that. We've developed the MOU that you've seen. Again, it's in your packets. Each county will designate, again, as I mentioned, a staff member. It will be a bi-monthly meeting of this group of regional economic development professionals from all 5 counties, and again, our team at the partnership will organize and execute that. They'll address, again, as I said, the regional marketing initiatives, and here I'll get a little bit more specific. We will share all of the leads that come to us through the state, through our outreach, through our travels, through our work with the expanded marketing that we're now doing with each of the counties, Decisions on where a company locates are up to the company. And so we invite the counties to put their best foot forward if that's something that they want. And if it's not, they are not required in any way to compete or to be involved in that type of site selection. Our executive and advisory boards will continue to direct the operations of the organization, and our staff will lead this effort. There are no monies or payments required of our coordinating counties.
One of my favorite parts.
One of your favorite parts. We've heard that before, so thank you. Yeah, no, this is strictly, again, a collaboration, and that's why the MOU is non-legal and non-binding. The judges from all 5 counties are invited to be members of the advisory board so that their county can have input to the executive board on any issues they're seeing, ways that we may need to collaborate, all of those pieces. And the staff from the Greater Brazos Partnership will combine all information and provide bi-monthly reports to each county through their staff members regarding leads, projects, marketing outreach, metrics that we're now collecting through that marketing outreach, regional initiatives, and any other activities underway that are in regard to economic development for this area. So that is really simply the plan. It's all identified in the MOU. What the BVEDC agrees to, now known as the Greater Brazos Partnership. Again, identifying the final elements of a collaborative scope of work through the type of projects that each county wants to focus on. That will become part of the strategy. And any special real estate sites or areas for development that those counties are interested in. Assist each county with working any specific projects if they desire. If they don't need any help, that's fine. We're there if we need to help. And include any interested companies within the regional business community in the Invest Brazos Valley initiative for the county as desired. So in other words, the private sector work that is part of our organization can extend as well to companies in all of the 5 counties, and they can join if they like. And then we're just asking the county to agree to this, organizing this draft regional kind of description of your area that you would want put on the website that would then be passed around through marketing materials and information throughout the nation, and we've done both domestic and global outreach. And agree to the BVEDC organizing, again, both proactive and reactive leads and projects on behalf of the region, and again, distributing each to all parties in agreement within a regional typical scope of work. And I'm happy to answer any questions. That's a lot of information in a short time, but I think it's pretty intuitive as to what we're talking about.
Well, I appreciate you sending us the information in advance and allowing us the opportunity to digest some of it.
Of course.
You've done a really good job of explaining that. Sometimes it's very difficult for us to explain all of these documents that we received, and it was good for the constituency to hear what this project really is about. So I appreciate your effort in explaining that. I have a couple of questions, though.
Certainly.
Starting with the advisory board, you said that the county judges in each of the counties would be part of the advisory board, correct?
Be welcome to attend.
Yes.
It's not a mandatory piece,
Okay.
but should they choose.
If the county judge has someone he or she wants to appoint, can that person be appointed to that advisory board?
They can. Yes,
Okay.
I apologize that I didn't mention that previously.
Well, the reason
The
I ask
judge or
that
their
is
designee,
sometimes
yeah.
judges are really busy.
Of
I don't
course.
know that for a fact, but I just know that sometimes they are. I will also say that I have a little bit of concern about us. I don't have a legal team here today, but since you've done the revamp of your name, maybe we need to get a document that expresses that, and if you could maybe send us the new name of your organization,
Certainly.
so that when we approve this, we will approve it with the condition of the new name being on there. There's no sense in us getting into a document with an old name.
Certainly understand.
Just my opinion, commissioners. What am I doing? I'm trying to run this place. I'm just telling you, I think it's just best. I just think it's best for this court not to get involved in that
No,
kind of stuff. And
I agree.
I'm
Thank
no
you.
attorney. You can ask Ms. Rinkin. I'm not an attorney, but I just think it would be best if we did that.
Certainly. We'll be happy to do that.
If you would do that for us, and you
So
can
we'll table it?
get that either to Ms. Rosales or Mrs. Caney,
Certainly.
and we can then
Bring it back.
bring it back to you guys
Certainly.
after this court decides if they want to
Certainly.
approve that or not, okay?
Be happy to
Those
do
are
that.
those are the only things I see. Commissioners, are there anything that you guys want to say or
No, I look forward, I think it's a wonderful thing, that y'all have brought this to us, because we're always looking for ways to leverage our resources and to be able to do that, in our Brazos Valley area just makes perfect sense. So thank you for bringing this
Oh,
to
thank you.
us.
We're happy to. We appreciate your consideration and hope you'll join in.
nothing like the power of collaboration? All right, Commissioners, I need a motion.
Do we have to?
I make a motion to table agenda.
Do you want to
item-
table it?
Right?
Well, I think you can make it conditional.
Or can I
on-
make it conditional
on-
as long
yes.
as, okay. I make a motion to conditionally approve the memorandum of understanding between Washington County and what was it again?
Yeah, it's a Greater Brazos Partnership.
The Greater
Yeah.
Brazos Partnership regarding marketing, regional outreach, and collective business and economic development goals based on receiving a revised copy of this MOU.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you again.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay, Ms. Rosales, we have a presentation of the Economic Development Quarterly Report.
Thank you. I believe you have a copy, there it is, you've got a copy as well in your packet. A little concise report here, just going over the third quarter. Building permits is something that I like to share. It certainly shows activity. And in this last quarter, you can see that August was pretty robust. I broke it down there on the side. We've got a couple of housing projects with some high valuation. And of course, Valmont is still in the process of their updates to their project. So that valuation looks pretty high there in August. In terms of AKAs, and just a reminder, AKAs are required to be completed at the county level for businesses that are new and also for businesses that are in existence. There's no really great way to quantify how many new businesses we've had, so instead we're giving you the AKA information. You can see that we're, as of right now, up to 154 businesses as of the end of September. Under general updates, I just want to say that we've distributed our fall newsletter in October 17th. Super excited to say that we had 66 new subscribers since our last issue. Thrilled about that.
That's great.
Also, Christine, my assistant, did bring copies here for all of those. Please, give her a minute. But if you'd like copies to take back to your staff, you're welcome to. Really enjoy writing it, and if anyone has any ideas of themes that they'd like me to include in these newsletters, let me know. But we're getting a lot of feedback on some of the information that we're sharing. I did attend an SED conference in July. That's the Southern Economic Development Council. It was in Savannah, Georgia. That's the 13 eastern southern states. And AI and sustainability were really large themes at that. So, I've come back with a newfound appreciation for wanting to get more involved in the AI. It's happening, and I'd rather be in front of it than behind it.
Amen.
Next, I've been really working hard on our BrenhamED.com website. I'm finding and hearing throughout all of my conferences that site selectors and even organizations directly begin at the website. So if someone's looking to actually come into our Washington County area, they go to our website. So now all of the data there is updated as much as it can be. I would invite you to please go in there and look at some of the areas that we've done. We definitely have retail updated, but we also have quality of life, logistics, a community profile. On the second page, market advantages, workforce advantages, talent pipeline advantages. This data is collected from quite a lot of different sources, and it would be a lot for one person to do it. So we have a company that we get it from, and as you go into the data, every data point has 3 little dots, and you can click on that, and it tells you the source of the data. I don't like data that's not sourced. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But again, we're getting a lot of positive comments about the new updated data on the website.
Great.
We did go out for an RFP for economic development services. I think I've mentioned that in the past. It was kind of twofold. Number one was for basically engineering and making sure that we are good with our targeted industries in our area. My concern has always been that, we can all say food industry is big, of course, there's a few industries, but what are the unknowns? Are there things going around the nation and even the world that we might have a good niche for? And so this is one of the reasons for getting this RFP. So a company has been chosen. We're determining scope and timeline right now. I'll bring that more to you, but I will tell you that we did ask for focus groups. So there will be people that will reach out to get more data about our region. The second part of it was business attraction services, which I am now rethinking because of this MOU that we are joining with the Greater Brazos Partnership. Can't tell you how thrilled I am about that. I think it's going to be a wonderful collaboration. Tax Abatement Compliance Committee, there were recommended revisions of the policy, and it will be coming to Commissioners Court, I believe around November 12th. I'll confirm that, but there are things that I'll be presenting to you. We're also presenting it to City Council on some of the recommended changes.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that real quick, because I know, we discussed it or I reviewed it with the court quickly during budget, but there were some changes and revisions that I had given you. Are those going to be incorporated?
You know what, I'll share that with you and we can discuss it. At this
Okay.
moment, I can't recall exactly which ones they were, but I know we talked about a few.
Okay.
There's about 7, I believe, changes.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
go through that.
Okay,
Yep.
fantastic.
And also the tax abatement compliance period has begun. As you know, anytime a business receives a tax abatement, we have to ensure that they're complying by the requirements. It's twofold. It's jobs created or retained, and it's also the valuation. So we have started that process, and we'll have that done hopefully by the end of December. Next, BK Stringer, first payment requests and amendments to Commissioners Court is also finally coming in November. Just took a long time. We'll talk about that more when I present, but it's coming and it will hopefully be final and we can move on from that. In terms of engagement, I think you all know how I love to go out into the community. I have one speaking engagement left this year for the Evening Lions Club, but we calculated, it seems like it's been more than 6, but we quickly came up with 6 presentations that I've given, and it's speaking to over 250 people in the community. So I love giving the economic development update, any information that I have that seems pertinent. In fact, this gentleman here was just talking about the presentation I just did for his group. And I just, if there's any way that I can, meet more service groups or other organizations that need updates, happy to do it. Love to get the feedback from the community as well. And if anyone would ever like to join me on any of these, you're certainly welcome. Go Toastmasters. And then finally, again, under engagement and communication, just showing you the website analytics. If you look from January to September of 2023, a year ago, we had 6,477 uses, 6,477. Same period this year, we're up to 22,900. Again, trying to reach more people where they are. In this case, we're going through our website, we're going through our social media. Any way that we can send the good message out there
Yeah.
and the good news is what we're trying to do.
That's a big increase.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions for me on this last quarter?
No.
No?
Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for that
Ms.
report, Mrs.
Rosales.
All
Knowles.
right, okay.
Y'all have a
Any-
great day.
Certainly, thank you.
All right, Commissioners. Item number 7, discuss and possibly act upon directing the Washington County Auditor to conduct an audit of the assets seizure and forfeiture accounts for the 21st Judicial District Attorney's Office pursuant to 590.06G of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Miss Julie,
Good morning.
how are you?
I'm fine. How are y'all doing? It's good to be here, Commissioners. It may be my last time here.
That's what
Are
I'm
you
thinking.
sure? We still have 2 months. Something
I don't
could
know.
happen.
I hope this is my last time here. As you know, every year in October, the law under Chapter 59 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure requires you to direct the auditor to audit our discretionary funds, which is the asset forfeiture funds. Just for the public and for those that don't know, Chapter 59 of the Code of Criminal Procedure allows law enforcement and a district attorney's office to seize contraband and proceeds from criminal activity. And then after a lawsuit is filed and somebody is noticed of that lawsuit and has an opportunity to be heard in court, that if it is proven by us that that is actually contraband and proceeds from criminal activity, it can be forfeited to our discretionary accounts and divided between law enforcement agency and our office. We are dictated by Chapter 59 on how we can spend those funds. This past year, I just want you to know that we have spent some of those funds on salaries, which we are required to come to you if it's going to supplement salaries. That is the one thing we have to come to you for. But we've also bought some hardware when we added additional employees last year. That was not in our general budget, so we bought some hardware, as well as we paid for the additional licenses under our software. So we have used that fund, and what's great about that is it's not the taxpayers when we use those funds, it's the offenders of criminal activity that are helping pay for some things in our office, which makes sense, because that is what we are there for. And so we wish we could pay for more, but the fund would run out if we spend it too quickly. But we have a great relationship, especially with the Brenham PD. That is where most of our, we have a great relationship with law enforcement, but in the aspect of the forfeitures, we work primarily with the Brenham Police Department, who, through their crime reduction unit, is still heavy into the drug enforcement. And so we're able to seize a lot of proceeds from drug dealers and use those to offset cost in our office. So if you have any questions, we've already been talking and working with the auditor this month. It is due on Thursday, but we've already turned in our part of the report to Shauna, and she's now working on it, and we're really close to being done.
Okay.
Commissioners, do you have any questions
No, it's just.
of Ms.
simple.
Rankin? Thank you so much, Ms. Julie. I need a motion.
I make a motion to direct the Washington County Auditor to conduct an audit of the asset seizure and forfeiture accounts of the 21st Judicial District Attorney's Office pursuant to 590.06G of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure.
I second that motion.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you so much,
I just
Ms.
want y'all to
Rankin.
know, this year, me and Mr. Eastep worked on it together. And he's always been our asset forfeiture attorney since I've been for years now, but this year we did the report together and the many things that we're doing to transition very,
For him,
very
yeah.
nicely and smoothly, so.
Well,
Yay.
hopefully it's a smooth succession plan.
It is, very
Thank
much
y'all
so.
so much.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Item number 8, the presentation of the auditor's monthly report. Ms. Hollis?
Okay, on the second page is going to be the sales tax comparison for the last 4 years. And you can see it is trending down again, but we were still an increase over last year. I said compared to August, I meant September. We are comparing September. It's about 12% more this September than last year. And then the ARPA funds, I had a phone call or a Zoom meeting with William Bass on Friday, and we went over all expenditures from the beginning through current end of September. And everything is on the following spreadsheet. My numbers match his numbers, and
he said he was gonna be William Bass, Mr. Bass told Commissioner Hannah and I that he'd be visiting with you, I guess, in preparation for that ARPA MOU that a lot of counties are doing. Like if their funds aren't fully allocated, did he have time to discuss that with you yet?
yes,
or-
we're going over this. We do need to take care of the generator, the retainage fee, the retainer. We have housekeeping to do on that, because if we keep that, we have to go through steps to re-obligate those funds to something else. You can't just say we're keeping this and
Right.
that's what we're doing. So I've sent that to the county attorney's office. It just came about. We're working
Okay.
through how to do that. But
Okay.
yeah, we just went over the final numbers, and I think he's supposed to reach back out to Commissioner Hanneth about going forward with where the funds are obligated and have all that squared away by December
Right.
for sure.
Right, okay.
Yes. And then, of course, the interest that's earned on that does not have to be obligated.
Doesn't have to be
or-
obligated, we can just,
Yes, so the numbers that he reports to you, he does have the amount of interest, but he's not gonna include that because that's not part of
Right.
ARPA funds per se.
right.
The revenue report for general fund, we have 35% remaining to collect, and EDS 53% remaining, which we will be collecting that October, November, December. So my next report, that number will come down. Expenses, the general fund, 19% remaining to expend, and EDS 36. I just want to add a caveat to that. Expenses on the general fund, anything that has been a expense from the reserve, if we haven't done that amendment yet, is going to skew this number some because we are spending more than what we budgeted
Right.
coming from reserve, so that could
Right.
be part of that. And I think that's all I have today on this. If anybody has any questions.
Commissioners, do you have any questions of the auditor?
No, I was glad to see the sales tax start to
Yeah.
increase compared to last year's, because I know we had several months where,
Mhm.
of this year, where those numbers were lower than 2023. So
Yes.
I guess on an annualized basis, where are we running? I hadn't looked, like comparative to last year. Are
We're
we gonna-
still a
are we
little
gonna hit that?
lower, but I'm hopeful that the next couple of months, you know, with holidays and stuff, hopefully it'll be increased.
Let's hope Santa Claus comes to town for sales tax.
Well, I
Benefits.
think he will,
Is he gonna come
depending
see
on the
you?
I
outcome
hope so.
of next Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what's holding things up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
if
that'll,
we have
that'll
a good
make a big
outcome,
difference.
people are gonna get excited,
That's
because
gonna
they're gonna be like, finally, someone's gonna fix the economy.
All right, thank you so much, Ms.
Thank
Hollis.
you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item number 9 on the agenda, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the 2023-2024 School Lands Report and disbursement of funds to the Brenham Independent School District and Barton Independent School District. Ms. Kramer, you have this report. Commissioners, Ms. Kramer has indicated to me that the funding for the schools was not included in our accounts payable, so we will have to add those numbers to the accounts payable when we approve the accounts payable. I'm going to hand this over to Ms. Kramer. You've all had this report in your packet. Ms. Kramer?
It's a little less being paid this year compared to last year. Partially that is because there was a little bit more in expenses than what we've had. On the upside, though, we actually made over $100,000 more in interest than we had last year. So that offsets some of that. But we had, more in taxes than we anticipated. We had the professional fees, which there were some attorney fees that we had during the year. It's advertisement because we did the hunting and grazing guides. So we had some changes there, but we did end up taking in a little bit more for the hunting and grazing in that respect. So it helped out there. So again, it means that we will be sending a check for $372,100.82 to Brenham and $47,404.05 to Burton.
Commissioners, I will also tell you that there has been some, as Ms. Kramer stated, there has been some expenditures there. There was also a conversation with Tom Green County Commissioners Court. The county judge and one of the commissioners met with myself and County Judge John Dernberger to discuss some property acquisition along a roadway that's creating some problems for the county. That is in process. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but it will also require legal fees, and if that does go into fruition, the county judge and that commissioner were going to take it back to their respective court and see if there was some interest in going forward. I will tell you, as someone who saw actually had a visual on the roadway, it would be in the best interest of Tom Green County to acquire a section of that property from us. I believe in total it would be 5 acres. It would be to move the fence back, and so we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah,
I will tell you it right now, it's still within the Tom Green County folks' the ball's in their court. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
we'll work through that. But Ms. Kramer's right. This we had to go through some legal work, but I do think that the revenue has definitely increased over there based upon some of the decisions this court has made, and we appreciate that because the school districts are the ones that benefit from that, not this commissioner's court, as you know.
Yes, not one penny.
Yeah, so thank the school districts for their understanding of needing the money to do the business of the Tom Green County School End as well, though. So, commissioners, with all that said, are there any other questions about this item?
I don't have any.
I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the 23-24 school land report and disbursement of funds to the Brenham Independent School District and the Burton Independent School District.
I second that motion.
We may need the amounts to each in that motion. Do we need
And the
that?
amount of, for Brenham ISD, $372,100.82. That is for the 23-24 school year. And allocation of $47,404.05. Allocation to Burton ISD.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Item number 10, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of the holiday schedule. Ms. Malcheck?
Good morning.
Commissioners, I will tell you that in this packet, you have the holiday schedule, and Ms. Malcheck, I will tell you that I appreciate the fact that you put the shift work holiday schedule in there as well. I think at times we approve the holiday schedule
And
without
forget about-
realizing that shift work has to be included in this schedule. So I appreciate you putting that in our packet.
Yes, sir. This gives them, they have some clarity on how their additional
Since they have to
benefits
work
fall as well.
weekends and-
Yeah. Fortunately, most of them were Monday through Friday, so there's not a lot of variance between these two. The addition of Texas Independence Day actual on Sunday, March 2nd, and then, of course, Easter Sunday, which typical Monday through Friday shifts don't cover, but we do want to
Okay.
put that for the shifts.
Okay.
Any questions?
Easy breezy.
I'll move upon the approval of the 2025 holiday schedule. I'll second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Item number 11, presentation of the treasurer's report. Ms. Kramer?
Okay.
We probably should have put those together for you.
That's okay. Just excited about the fact that we are right on the cusp of making $1.5 million in interest this year at
Yay.
$1,466,000. So that's a lot. We have the
And that was as of the end of
September.
September.
we still have 3 months to go.
Yep.
So, yes, I'm ready to start putting money back in investments now that the taxes are coming in. So we quit paying bills and quit paying employees. I'd have a whole lot more money, but something about that just doesn't seem to work.
Mrs. Kramer, we're a service
I understand.
industry.
You know,
so,
I'm all about
we're gonna pay
saving the money,
employees.
though.
Let's not get that out into the media.
Yeah, no. It was a
Y'all
joke.
did hear that, but it's not.
It was a joke.
I
Yeah.
I will say this,
They'll-
do,
I like
hear
to
it,
kid.
see.
yes, exactly. Ms. Kramer,
Yes.
do we need to have a meeting of the Finance Committee to discuss these items?
Sure.
Is that something that we'll need to do? Will you please send out that calendar invite? I will tell you, it's been kind of busy, but we'll set something aside, okay? All right. Is there any other questions of the treasurer's report? All right. Item number 12, discuss and possibly act upon the approval of accounts payable. Ms. Kramer?
Again, today we are paying $943,469.11. That includes $419,504.87, which were for the 2 checks with to the Burton and Brenham school districts. There was also a couple of a check for a couple of more cars out of the SB 22 money for the sheriff's office, and my quarterly checks are all in there, so everything else is just regular bills
move upon the approval of accounts payable
I need you to say with the addition of the school
with the
land.
addition of the school land payments.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Item number 13 on the agenda.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Item's been made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you so much.